Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Progressive Overload podcast. Have you ever thought about strengthening multiple areas of your life at the same time? Then you've come to the right place. Our goal is to help you identify ways that you might need a progressive overload to break through those plateaus and keep you growing.
Hey, what's up, Progressive Overload fam? We are glad to have you back with us here in the studio. Mobile Studio 9,382, it feels like.
Si, senor.
But it is good to be back, boys. It has been nice to have a little bit more regular time to be with you guys.
I know. It's been a fun summer so far.
Dude, it's been solid. It's been solid.
Getting to have lunch with y'all like every single day.
I know.
Nice.
Somebody texted me the other day and said, "Hey, what are you doing for lunch?" And I texted them back and said that, "Hey, the same thing I do every day."
Yep.
So what's been going on?
Welcoming Calvin Capers back into the podcast.
Hey guys,
what's up,
thanks for
brother?
having me back on.
Wearing your Ronin style fighting gear.
Shout out.
That's
Awesome
really cool.
new
Dude.
rash guards.
I would love one of those, but I know I would not look near as good in it.
They're super cool.
I look like a blue marshmallow. But dude, we're excited to have you today.
Thank you.
You have a fight coming up, and we're so excited.
Yes, sir.
You're gonna have a big clan of us there supporting you in your corner.
That's awesome.
Not in your corner, but metaphorically
Amidst
in your
the
corner.
crowd.
Yes.
I'll be there.
Yeah. Tyson will be in the corner. We will be probably in the nosebleeds. I don't know.
Tyson will be in the corner where he belongs.
Yes.
The rest of us will be looking on.
In between the fights and the concession stand. Yeah.
Luckily, it's going to be, I think, a small enough
I'll
event,
see you there
though.
right after my fight.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a small enough event, though. Like, nosebleeds are still, like, right up on the cage.
Okay,
like,
cool.
I don't think there's any bad seats in the house.
Sweet. So when is your fight?
Good.
The fight is it's actually June 24th. It's on a Saturday.
So a week from tomorrow.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're pulling up
boy.
on it. We're knocking on the door.
Oh,
and
boy.
The hard part starts very, very soon.
You guys
The
cut him
real
on
weight cut.
y'all cut him on a good time because he's about to start cutting weight.
Uh-huh.
So this is the best time to have him on a podcast where he's still got, water and fuel in him.
I'm
If
not
it was
cranky.
like 2 days later, he'd be really grumpy.
Yeah. Yeah. Give him,
Thirsty.
this time next week, he won't be fun to be around. And I'll be around him the entire time.
Thank God for Diablo 4.
And we'll have to be around you.
Yes.
That's true. So what's your fight camp been looking like recently?
Oh, man. Six on, one off most of it. I mean, for about
Okay. Yeah.
8 weeks, I
Yeah.
think, straight.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Tyson had implemented a super awesome like lifting program in the first half that I had to get used to that really helped me work on my strength and power.
Yeah.
And then as of late, we kind of dialed it down and worked on more like explosive
Right.
power.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's really narrowed it in. As far as rounds, I'm just getting, every day I get to go with everybody. He pretty much Shark Tanks me with everybody who shows up. I got to go against everybody.
Yes,
Yep.
that's so cool.
So I like small classes.
Uh-huh.
Bad for business, but great for me.
We've been having some big dudes coming in too, so
Yeah.
like it's been nice. Like, yeah, Calvin, and then he's like, "All right, I'll spar him," and I'm like, "No, lay down. They're going to be in full mount, and that's where
Yeah.
you're going to start."
Man.
He puts me in the one spot that like I would never. I try super hard not to let people get me there,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
I was like, "You're starting there."
No, you're starting there. Because if it ever does happen, you're going to know.
You'll
And
remember.
as soon as I get out, I'm back in.
If you get in that position on Saturday, you'll have a flashback to when Tyson forced you into it.
Well, I've done it 90 times.
Uh-huh.
And it's,
Yep.
Well, also that
Hopefully
guy
I'll
will
be
be
comfortable.
like 150 pounds tops. I'm expecting
Yeah.
him to be around 145 probably
Really?
on fight night, and then he's used to rolling around with like
Yeah.
210
I
on top
got
of
you.
him.
This is
So-
like the
sweet.
closest guy to my size, and he's 40 pounds heavier than me.
Right. Oh wow. Yeah.
All the other guys are way bigger than
Yeah.
me.
So what do we know about the opponent?
long and lanky.
Long and lanky.
Yeah, he's a submission style,
Mhm.
more or less kind of fighter. I really think Calvin's gonna have the best time picking him apart on the feet.
Sweet.
I don't want to delve too deep into it, just because this will be
Yeah.
released
A lot of
before the
lingo
fight.
going over my
Listen,
head
you,
too.
you can't dig into the strategy book here.
Yeah,
right.
Don't let the secrets
Just
out.
come on Saturday and watch him pick him apart,
Right.
whatever that means.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know he. I heard, I guess, that he's coming off of a knockout
Okay.
victory.
Mhm.
And
He's gonna come in cocky, huh?
maybe I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so.
That'd
too.
be great.
Uh-huh.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, just pull him, make him overreach, and then touch and go.
Yeah.
Bang.
So real fast, just plug the details of the fight so our listeners. We do have a large number of listeners that are local to this fight in Wichita Falls. So
Yeah.
tell them where it's at and what it's going to look like.
Well, it's the first time I'm fighting this close to home. I'm able
Okay.
to sleep in my own bed, and
Nice.
which should make the cut process a little bit easier,
Mhm.
a little more, make me a little more comfortable.
Right.
But yeah, it's super close to home. So anybody in the surrounding areas, if you can, I would love to have a crowd,
Heck
especially a local crowd, or even if you don't know me and you're just interested in the sport, come out and watch. I think there's 16 fights on the card.
Sick.
Yeah, and there's the headlining bouts are just full of
former UFC
fighters.
Yeah.
There's I think another guy just got signed yesterday or matched yesterday. He's a bare knuckle flyweight champion or something.
Wow.
We have a couple women's champions or ex-women champions from, I think, LFA and UFC.
Okay.
So it's
Nice.
a stacked card. I can't
yeah,
wait
dude.
to see the fights after my fight.
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch local Bubba McDaniels. I'm sure
Okay.
a lot of people know that guy's name around.
Yeah,
Okay.
former UFC fighter, Ultimate Fighter,
Right.
contestant, all
Okay.
that stuff.
Heck yeah,
So-
dude. I'm stoked, man.
So
That's
is
awesome.
it at the Impact or is it at the K Jaeger?
It's at the K Jaeger
Well, it's the
Coliseum.
same thing. Impact is the same thing as K Jaeger. Well, it's the same concept.
It's the same area, but
yeah, it's in K Jaeger Stadium now.
Yes.
but yeah, I think it's in the
Yeah.
larger K Jaeger Stadium.
Awesome. Yeah, that's
On-
a cool stadium.
June 24th, this Saturday.
Coliseum.
I think the doors open at 6,
Okay.
and you can buy your tickets there or online
Right.
before. I'm not
Right.
sure of the exact website. Maybe we can
Yeah.
tag it in the
Yeah, I can
video or
find the
something.
link and tag it in the show notes.
Right. There
yeah.
should be a
Check it out.
QR code that you could just scan and find all
Right.
the info.
Yeah, I can do that.
Or
for
just
sure.
show up at 6 and
Yeah.
the fights start at 7. You
Right.
know?
There'll be plenty of seats.
Yeah, so it's a coliseum, massive coliseum. You're gonna have seats. Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. There should be floor seats and then I believe bleacher seats.
Bleacher type
Yeah.
stuff. Sweet, dude.
Sweet.
Awesome. Well, can't
And
wait.
also, so the if anybody's interested in maybe meet and greet with some of the fighters beforehand,
really?
the weight cut ceremonies or the weigh-in ceremonies is at Hooters in Wichita Falls.
Okay, that's right.
Over there, it's at 7, and
Okay.
which is unfortunate because that means I have to weigh 135 pounds until 7 o'clock
Until
at night.
Mhm.
Couldn't be at noon.
I know, right?
You know, but I guess does Hooters even open at noon? I don't know.
I do not know their schedule off the top of my head.
Right?
He's
Yeah.
lying.
So
he knows exactly when Hooters opens.
But yeah. So we'll all we'll get our cool pictures, and we'll have the promoter Kelly Wiseman behind us. And
Nice.
like I said, if you're interested in talking to any of the fighters, and I'm just a local, but like I said, there's
Yeah.
some good names out there, so it'd be a cool chance to go get
Mhm.
Sweet.
some handshakes and maybe some autographs even.
Right.
It'd probably be the best time to get some
Okay.
personal experience. It's like
Sick.
a pre-party before the party.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think that's how they explained it on the ad.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. It's gonna be a party for us too. Me and Dustin and Walker and Tabor, and we're all gonna get together and have just make a night out of it. And hopefully we'll be celebrating
Sick.
at the end. Celebrating a W.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
And so
We'll
I'm
be
excited.
celebrating either way.
Yeah.
We'll get together. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
gonna
Well,
be a blast.
this weekend is Father's Day, and so I thought appropriate to do a Father's Day episode while we have two fathers, and then about to be father, and then a someday father. So
Yes, sir.
a lot of different angles here.
Yeah, man.
I was like Tyson. It was like Calvin, a good dad. We can talk about the podcast. He was like, he's a great dad. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, sick, let's do it. So
That's pretty much all I do.
And
it's the best title ever.
he's a dad to a boy that's all boy too.
Oh yeah,
So like it takes a good strong dad to be in
Hey.
It does.
Jax's life. you
It
know?
Hey,
does.
good perspective. Boy dad, girl dad.
I'm a girl dad.
It's
Yeah.
true.
And I'm glad
I
I'm
never
a girl
thought about
dad.
that.
I'm glad I'm a girl dad. I think I'm better at that than I would be a boy dad. I don't know.
I feel like I'm definitely better at being a father to a boy.
I know.
I mean, I don't know. I'd probably. I don't know. I think everybody says that, but I'd be super overwhelming. I think I'm overwhelming a little bit right now because I'll give him everything he wants, but I expect greatness, or I expect at least
100% effort.
respect and
Of course.
and
Yeah.
effort,
Yeah.
And as long as I'm putting that into him, he gives it back to me. And
Exactly.
We have a super awesome relationship.
Mhm.
Awesome, dude.
That's cool.
Well, let's dig into it. So I think I wanted to start with, there's this concept of a worldly man that mainstream media and just a lot of times movies portray of this just, I guess you can think of a manly man in your
Yeah,
head
Yeah.
of just this guy who's usually rough and quiet and probably has a hot girl on his side. I don't know. Wherever your head
With a
goes
big
in
truck.
there. Yeah, with a big truck, exactly.
Lift kit.
Rough hands, stuff like that. And I think people put the word man in a wrong category and wrong definition.
Well,
And
I also see that character wearing like boots and
Right, exactly.
jeans and
Exactly.
definitely not like Muay Thai shorts
attributes.
and sandals.
Yeah, the attributes that are ascribed to those characters,
Right.
I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And so I think it's important that we can talk about what it really means to be a man and to be a good father. Whether you're a believer or not, the Bible outlines characteristics of a good father so stinking well. And there, I mean, every you can find a way to angle almost all the passages in the Bible about and relay that to fatherhood, because that's who Jesus is to us. He's our heavenly Father, and the way that He loves us and sacrifices Himself for us can always be related to how we can father our kids. And so I wanted to talk about a couple characteristics of a good father, using some scripture to back that up also. And so the first one is consistent. What do y'all think of when I say that a father should be consistent?
Well, for me, the example that I've been given is my own dad, and he's, if nothing else, consistent.
Really?
Man, I don't think I've ever seen him miss a day of work unless he was like on the hospital bed.
Right.
You know, so it's hard as far as a provider, a protector. He was consistently there as much as he could be to baseball games and things that he would put forth the most amount of effort he could to try to be in our lives.
Right.
So when I think it's consistency, my dad is the first thing that comes to my mind.
That's great.
So at least that's kind of
telling.
Yeah.
What about you, Kevin?
I guess what comes to mind is when I heard the word consistency and think about fatherhood and being a father with that word, is just leading by example and expecting if how am I going to expect him to make the right choice if I consistently make the wrong choice or something, or I'm like, I tell do this, but I'm going to do this, right. Or I just think being accountable, and leading by example, and being consistent with it.
Right.
If you really want to instill that value into your child, you can't be sometimes make the wrong decision. You got to consistently make the right decision, lead by example. That way they don't think it's okay to sometimes slip up, and
inconsistently leading by example is not leading by example.
Exactly. If I do the right thing 8 times and the wrong thing 2 times, it's he didn't get the right message.
Absolutely. And I would just build off of that, leading by example perspective with consistency. As somebody who, I love my dad, and I think my dad was a great dad, but my dad also died very young in my childhood. And so majority of my life I grew up without him. And so for me, that father or fatherly figure came from other spheres of influence. And the characteristics that were displayed within them and the consistency with which they showed it really served to give me an example and to shape me in a large way. Like, because I didn't have that day in, day out at home, figure, where I found that meant so much more.
Right.
And so just to build off what you said about being the example, that goes beyond your household. To be a man, like, we're using the words father and we're using the word man. Absolutely. To be a consistent and good father, those characteristics have to be consistent within your home. To be a good man, they have to extend beyond those walls.
Right.
Sir.
Right. And like with you two, you guys coach young boys all the time. Every 4 or 5 days a week, 4 or 5 days a week.
I just coached like 8
young
boys about an hour ago.
And and it's so important that, and I'm glad you guys are good men, and I know you're good fathers, because one of those kids could be Dustin Dustin was without a father.
Sure.
Y'all could be that person that's being consistently there for them and leading them through that and literally saving their life. So
exactly.
And that's one thing, like, and really from both perspectives, I have no idea if the men in my life who made that influence realized the level of influence they had on me. And I don't know that I realized the influence that they had on me in the moment. Years later, years removed, and having spent long periods of time thinking through these things and thinking about the future and who I want to be in the future as a father, yeah, like I can see where those things kind of bleed over into my own life.
Yeah.
But I never really realized how much of an impact that they had. And so for you guys that are influencing those young men in your classes, be they teenagers or younger kids, yeah, you never know. Yeah. You never know the level of influence you might have on them.
It's heavy. It's heavy sometimes.
Yeah.
But
it sits on my heart
Yeah,
heavy too.
yeah.
I mean, it is literally I wake up every day knowing that that's what I'm doing. You know, I'm
That's
not
great.
just coaching them, I'm influencing them
Right.
in so many more ways. So
That's so good.
it drives me.
Yeah.
Because as you're saying that, I've got faces going through my mind right now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I
of
can
those
see it.
of those individuals that
Yeah.
I know that I'm having to kind of pull under my wing a little bit
Mhm.
because they don't have that influence out,
Yeah.
outside of the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And even if they do have a good, supporting, loving father, that father could be lacking in ways that you guys can fill. And so
Mhm.
that's huge there.
And I would even go so far as to say, for you guys that are doing that, there is something to be said about what you do, right? Because it's exciting, and it's encouraging that you have the ability to influence them in that way. It's also a burden,
Right.
Like you said, it weighs heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes heavier than others.
Yeah.
But
We got broad shoulders. We'll be all right.
It definitely helps me make the right decision, knowing,
yeah.
You got all those
like I
kids
said,
looking up to
I
you.
have to be
I
a good
would say
example.
that
I have to be.
There's even something to be said about you seeing that burden and taking it.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of shying away from it or just ignoring it, you embrace it.
Well, it kind of leads us to our next point, and it's know how and when to be present,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And then with martial arts, it takes a certain presence of mind to even participate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it builds character all on its own. And that's kind of the magic of martial arts in my mind is it's, in a weird way, it's a father itself,
Yeah.
It can drive you to change how you eat, how you sleep,
Right.
and how you act outside the gym.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I think of consistency in a household, in particular, is like if you just I think a man and a father should have consistent emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that they should always be the person that a son or a daughter can go to, that and know that no matter what happens, their father will be level-headed and
Mhm.
not be reacting, not having to ride the ups and downs of happiness or sadness or loneliness.
Sure.
Like I think I should be, if I was like, okay, I'm sorry. When I went through my depression in kind of the pandemic era, my daughter had no clue that I was depressed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She got all of me.
Mm-hmm.
When I wasn't with her, I was depressed.
Mhm.
But she got all of me, and I did not let that affect how I fathered
Yeah.
her.
Right.
And so I think that's how fathers should be. They should be able to control their emotions, not ride the waves.
Mhm.
Yes, you can battle it within, but I
Mhm.
think you should be a solid rock that is consistently the same way in your household, because this world is always changing.
Sure.
Especially as a girl or a boy growing up and just going through all the highs and lows of
Mhm.
new schools and new friends. This kid said that. This kid said this. My
Mhm.
teacher, I failed this test. Just constantly up and down. They always know when they go to their father,
Right.
they are consistent. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's hard to, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. I really that resonates with me because while there's not a whole lot of time period that I can remember with my father, the way that he was consistent within his emotions and how present he was both are two things that stick out. Because when I think about my father, I don't remember anything like outbursts, where he lost his emotion, lost his
Yeah.
cool. I remember him being very, I would almost say, methodical,
Mm.
calculating, thoughtful, with how he presented himself,
Yeah.
especially in how
That's
he
good.
spoke. And as far as presence goes, my mom and dad got divorced when I was young, before my dad had passed away, obviously, a couple years before that. But even regardless of before that, after that, any time leading up to his death, which really was a sudden thing. It wasn't nothing. It just kind of came out of the blue.
Right.
But during all of those time periods, regardless of what season it was, he was present.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he opted to be present every chance he could.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was never this, he just disappeared, you know?
Right.
And I think that was important to me, more so than I realized.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. What were you going to say?
I was gonna say it's excuse me, that it's hard to catch yourself in that moment when you are, you know, I forget how you termed it, like
just an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah,
you know?
and then being able to pull yourself back and knowing, because you know I find myself, like I said, I'll be going there and then I can realize it. It's hard to realize when you're like oh and then pull yourself back and say, okay, I need to count. You know,
right?
He's an 8-year-old. You know?
100%. Yeah. That's just something that will. We weren't good at that. As we began our fatherhood journey,
right?
But
Yeah,
we just improved constantly. You know,
just catching yourself and knowing that's definitely helped me, because I had to learn to stop myself whenever I was going into that. You know, getting upset about something.
Yeah.
One thing you've done really well too at raising a boy is putting yourself out there enough and not being afraid to fail, and show him that it's okay to actually fail.
Yeah.
And then how to bounce back from it, right?
That's a huge lesson.
That is such a huge thing that I think so many people are afraid to fail, so they don't even try.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't have to necessarily just because of fighting, but that's starting a workout journey, starting a fitness journey, starting a faith journey, whatever it is, and showing that you're willing to put yourself forward to try it.
Right.
And possibly fail.
And because of that, Jax has had 2 fights.
That's so cool.
Little Jax is undefeated.
He's gonna be y'all's first champion. Huh?
Oh, dude, I'll retire off that boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, 16 years or something.
All right.
Couple million. Jim gets 10%. He's fine.
So we've alluded to our point number 2, but knowing how to be present and when to be present, and I think this is something that, especially is in the social media era, but men are just always thinking about something else. Like we're always thinking about what we have to do at work, or what, all the bills and all the things that are also on a parent's shoulders. And it's so hard, especially when I'm at home finally at the end of the day, and my daughter's asked me to play with her, and I have all of this stuff going on in my head. You have to learn how to clear your head and be totally present, or else you might be there physically, but not there consciously or mentally, and you can still miss out on so many moments.
And kids are sharp, man.
They know.
You give an ounce of that ground, and they can tell.
Absolutely.
It was just the other day, right after dinner, Jax wanted to watch, a cartoon before bed.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to go lay down. And he goes, hey, come cuddle with me on the couch. And I was like, no, I'm just going to go lay down. He's like, come on. He caught me being like, what? I mean, come on.
Right.
So I was like, okay. And just like you said, I got to go, get the dogs all put in the kennels. I got to, make sure the kittens are okay, brush my teeth, all that stuff. And it's just like, come on.
Yep.
I was like, okay, clear the head, exactly like you're saying. Go cuddle with your son, and then it just makes you feel like $1 million.
Mm-hmm. It does. It's so good, man. It's the best feeling ever.
He's a big softie.
I know.
He's this big cage fighter, all all scary. Meanwhile, he's talking about, I got these kittens I'm taking care of.
Cuddling my son.
I have a pet squirrel that I got to take care of.
That was the funniest day of my life. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I was outside talking to him out by my truck, and my big manly truck. And then, all of a sudden, this squirrel comes down out of the tree about 20 yards from us and just runs across the yard. And I see it about 5. He's watching it the whole time. And then the squirrel just jumped up into my hand. And I was like, oh, hey, Han. And, I had raised this squirrel since it was a tiny little baby. Yeah. And, he was my son's best friend. I had a German Shepherd that he would, ride around on my German Shepherd.
Yeah.
It was so funny. And he was like, what are you, some kind of Disney princess? You got little woodland creatures coming up to you out of nowhere.
Sing a song and the birds come down. Like, what is this?
It was so funny.
I've always wanted a pet squirrel.
Yeah.
Man, that's cool.
Just the visual imagery of this happening as he's telling Tyson about how he's going to knock somebody's teeth out.
That's what we were talking about fighting.
And then my pet squirrel comes out of the tree and comes and jumps in my hand. He's just running around.
The dichotomy of man.
It's so funny.
Yes.
A man, do y'all have anything else on just being present?
No.
Yeah.
That's good points.
A man, a good father, makes sure his family's needs are met. This is a hard one because I know so many. I know a one personal friend who is actually a stay-at-home dad, and he struggles with this so hard.
Oh, really?
But his wife is like a PA, so I mean they're doing fine.
Financially, they're fine.
Yeah, but he struggles with that because that's been nailed in our brains for so long. A man's got to provide for his family. A man's got to provide for his family.
Well, sometimes it makes more sense, if they could save money by him being a stay-at-home dad.
Absolutely. Yeah, there is nothing wrong with it. He is making the sacrifice to let his wife do what she went to school for, and bring home the money so that and he gets to stay home with his kids, so they don't have to put him in full-time daycare. I mean, I think that's amazing.
Be a dad. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so cool.
Well, see, and then provide for, right? It seems like everybody wants to go right to the financial part of that, like bringing bread home. But there's so much more to that word, providing for. Leading by example is something we already talked about.
Right.
But providing things like discipline. And that's hard. That's sometimes hard for fathers to do, is actually provide the discipline that the kids need to grow up and be strong individuals.
Yep.
I remember a specific time where me and my cousin Scott, he was younger. He's a year older than me.
Yeah.
And we were bickering, being boys and fighting and everything else. And Dad's home, and he can hear us fighting in the room, blah, blah. We've been together all summer, so just tired of each other, know.
Right.
And, Scott was always bigger than me, and he hit me. And I went and I told my dad, I'm like, Dad, Scott's being mean. He hit me. He slapped me in the back of the head, whatever. And Dad didn't skip a beat. He didn't say, go beat him up or nothing. He said, all right, boys, go outside. I got something for you guys. And he had us paint the fence. And we were both sitting there, and Scott's mad at me. He's like, you're the reason we're doing this. I'm like, you're the one that started it. And eventually, and so, the summer continues on, and we bring it up to Dad. And Dad, what's he do? Well, I've got something else for you to do. And next thing you know, we're picking weeds. And finally it clicked, like, oh, you know what? Let's not bring this to Dad's attention. Let's figure it out amongst our own, I don't know.
That's good.
That's awesome.
I didn't know it at the time, but that was a pretty good method to just let boys be boys and figure it out.
The old wax on, wax off theory.
Yeah.
Train them without them knowing.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Whenever you talk about just meeting needs, like you said, it's not all about financial. Like sometimes it's just like doing what you have and making the sacrifices that you have to make so that your kid can have his needs met. And then there's so much about parenthood and fatherhood that is sacrificial. Sure. I can't tell you how many things I've sacrificed, things that I wanted so that my daughter could take her dance class or go to gymnastics or all these things. Sure. I mean, there's you just have to be willing to be a sacrificial person in order to be a father, or I don't know. It's hard.
And I think that's the connection between the idea of providing for your family and leading your family.
Yeah.
For me, when we're talking about the concepts we're talking about here, providing and making sure my family's needs are met, like Tyson said, is not always financial.
Mm-hmm.
And most often, what does the family need? A leader.
Mm-hmm.
And, regardless of the financial aspect of that, I can still lead my family and lead them well.
Right.
This brings us back right to just being present.
Mm-hmm. Being present, yeah.
It's amazing how these things connect.
Another thing that a father does well is provide security for their child. Obviously this entails physical safety, like making sure that, I don't know, whenever we're walking down the sidewalk, she's walking on the inside, so I can, stuff like that. There's all those different things, but just letting my daughter know that she is safe to come to me anytime to talk about anything in the world.
Sure.
I don't want her to ever be scared to come to talk to me about something because she's afraid how I'll act or afraid, like stuff like that. Just being that security. But as your fighters over there, y'all are probably thinking about like actual security.
For sure. But, at the same time, security can be in a lot of things too.
Yeah.
Having a safe environment at the house, even where mom and dad get along.
Right.
And there's no turmoil going on there.
Tons of yelling and shouting and
emotional
fighting.
Security.
Yes.
Like we're good. And like you said, they can come and talk to you for whatever they need,
I almost have to make Jax feel like I'm more of his best friend. I mean, he really is my best friend. I spend all my time with him,
Yeah.
I'm kind of in your buddy's position, I stay at home, be a dad, and do martial arts.
Yeah.
So, but really, it's like he trusts me that's how I make him know that he can trust me to come with anything any kind of problem he has. You know, he's not scared to talk to me because we're more on like he knows I'm his dad, but we're on a like best friend level too.
Yeah,
you know,
that's cool. That's awesome.
And he's pretty able to handle himself too.
Yes.
So he brings a little bit of security to the house as well.
Oh, I'm sure, right? Yeah, let's get him, Dad.
I'll get his left.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember that trend where people would go into their kids on TikTok or something, and they'd say, "Hey, this guy's outside saying he's going to beat me up, and he's got a son who's your size and your age. Put your shoes on," you know. I put that video. I made a video like that, and I just couldn't post it. He was so like he was
ready to go.
He was like, oh yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Where's he at?
I really want you to post that now.
Yeah, because the joke was that some of the kids would get scared.
Yeah.
You know, and be like, nah, you know.
Jack's like, can you wrap my hands first?
Yeah.
Oh man.
We'll show him, Dad.
Yeah.
So in Proverbs 14:26, King Solomon talks about this. In the fear of the Lord, there is strong confidence, and his children will have a place of refuge. So being just that place of refuge as a father, where your kids always know you are a safe person, you are a safe place to go to.
Yeah, and I think that just to add on to that place of refuge, that being something or being that place where they can go amidst turmoil and have peace.
Mm-hmm.
Just knowing that no matter what problem I bring to my dad, everything will be okay, and he will figure it out.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times that's happened with me and my father. Just
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, it's always been that for me.
Just the fact of not having to go through it alone,
yeah,
it just speaks volumes. You know,
That my dad's Mr. Fix-It, literally. Like, I don't think there's ever been a thing that's broken that he can't fix, and I mean that and then also, it always surprises me how smart he is. But then I've learned as I've gotten older that it's not necessarily just intelligence. It's his willingness to just figure it out.
Right.
Like, whatever, bro. Don't worry about it. Let's figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And
can't be that hard.
Yeah. Next thing you know, he's figuring out whatever impossible thing I would think.
Right.
Tore down an engine, rebuilt it.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Where'd you learn to do that? Well, I just figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this last characteristic that I wrote down, we've already talked about a little bit, but it's just leading by example.
Mm-hmm.
And again in Proverbs 23:26, Proverbs is an awesome book of the Bible that I mean, so many pieces just for personal growth, but just how to just live life as a good Christian man or woman. But it's so good. But it literally says, "My son, give me your heart and let your eyes observe my ways." So he's literally saying, I'm going to lead you by example, follow me. And so I think it's really important. And I always keep this in mind, especially when I'm interacting with my wife in front of Presley, that I am teaching her what to look for in a husband.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I look at her future husband and he's exactly like me, and will that make me happy, or will I be scared for her or worried for her? You know, so think about that. If your daughter's future husband treats your daughter the way that you treat your wife, what's that going to look like?
Mm-hmm.
And same
Right.
vice versa for your case.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what is he's going to model you and treat his wife how, you know, stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the generational side of things too, though, because just like you said, being that example to show your son what it looks like to be a good father and husband, to have that example for them to look to and to move towards. And the same thing as a daughter, to teach your daughter what to look for in a man to prove that he is a good or suitable husband / future father. As you're instilling those qualities into them, that will get passed down to their kids.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this generational thing where you're not just influencing your own kids, you're influencing the future of your family.
Sure.
You know, on a broader sense.
Yeah. And probably the most important, well, not the most important, for the podcast's sake, it is so important that a man can make a good example of living a healthy lifestyle for his family.
Mm-hmm.
And there are, I wish I would have got the statistics ready, but I read statistics last week that basically said if both parents are obese, their children have like an 85% chance of being obese. if their parents are not obese or average weight, they have like a 10% chance of becoming obese.
Right.
And so, and like, we're not saying being obese is bad. It does not make you a bad person, does not make you a bad human. But as far as health goes and quality of life, there's no argument that a person that is obese has a lesser quality of life.
Right.
What's the word? Life expectancy, and all the other diseases that come with obesity related illnesses and stuff. So
I mean, you guys know majority of my story, my past, whatever, however you want to phrase that. Health was not an influence or definitely not an important factor in my upbringing.
Believe
whatsoever.
it or not, me either.
And
definitely.
And I mean, it shows from when you guys first met me, right? Like, just as far as weight and consistency of where I was at. And I've come a long way from that. And I'm super thankful that I have. I've got a long ways to go. And out of everything that we talked about, within the realm of leading by example in a way of health has become something that honestly I fixate on.
Really? Yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah.
Whether I say it or not. Because I know the lack of example I had in this area growing up, and I saw the havoc it wreaks in me as a person.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
And it's not something that I want my future family to endure.
Right. Right. Yeah.
We're in the same book, buddy. I feel you're preaching to the choir right here.
Yeah.
Really, how much of a health nut I am now. It's definitely had to been a choice. It wasn't anything instilled into me. I mean, this guy was definitely a huge influence. But as far as my family,
quite the opposite.
Quite the opposite.
Yeah.
There was definitely not any concern about health. And it's been something that I'm really proud to have to lead by example to try to pass that on to my son. And it's been it's hard, but it's definitely something I'm proud of.
Absolutely.
Being able to make that change, even though it wasn't an example.
It's one of the things I'm most proud of is just the fact that Presley loves to work out with me, and that she loves trying new foods. She loves trying new vegetables, and she will literally try any food there is out there. She may not like it, but she will try it, and that's just because she's watched me, and that's one of the most things that I'm proud the most of for.
Right.
It was like my son, he thinks I'm a superhero because I have abs.
Yeah.
He thinks I'm super buff because I have abs. I'm like, no, I'm actually pretty skinny. But, and he's like, one day I'll have abs, I'm like, well, I didn't even start working on my abs till I was 28.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you're working on them when you were 6.
You should have them.
You should have them by about the time you're 10, 12.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, don't worry about that, So it's just funny.
It'll come.
One other thing I want to add to, I think one of the main roles of being a father, being a leader of the family, right, is just to be a teacher as well. And while health, I think, is certainly important, other things like finances, incorporating that into your kids really early can definitely help them in life early as well.
Yeah.
Being financially conscious of what purchases are and having them in your family budget.
Yeah. Schools aren't doing that.
No, schools aren't doing that. But I remember the talk that me and Dad had about all that stuff.
Really?
When I was like 17, and you start to get a little, because I was starting to work and everything else.
Right.
It's like you're starting to have some money, and here I am trying to buy a bunch of video games and stuff I don't need, right? And then it's just like, well, if you save now, if you saved every dollar you have until you're 18, 19, you could buy a car.
Yeah,
like, what are you doing,
Right.
I think sometimes slowing things down and opening their eyes to things like that is also the role.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm constantly looking for those moments in my interaction with Presley just to teach her something. Usually about the Bible or about Jesus or something like that. Or just life in general. She's in this place in her development where she's just, why? What is
She's
this?
a little
Why?
sponge.
She's just constantly asking.
Yeah.
We talked and watched YouTube videos about hail for like 30 minutes last night because it was hailing at our house, and she wanted to know everything about why this is happening at our house.
Yeah, Jax did the same thing with, he saw it was like a big thunderstrike, and I think the power went out in Bowie, but it was like, it made the sky red.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, we need to look up red lightning.
I want to know why.
I need to know why red lightning happens.
Yeah,
and
so
let's do it.
And just looking for those moments to teach something. They are sponges, and if you're not teaching them, somebody else will. So
That's
the
truth.
it. Yeah.
That's
So
the thing.
Truth, man.
Well, Calvin, dude, I can't wait to see you freaking knock the crap out of somebody on Saturday.
Well, I've said it once, I'll say it again. He'll definitely remember my name.
He will
Yeah.
remember. Yes.
I don't care what happens in there. I know I'm going to war, but he'll remember my name.
Yes.
Mhm.
Awesome,
So,
dude.
And hopefully he earns my, same and due. Is like,
Yeah.
I've had fights where I don't remember those guys' names.
Uh-huh.
I've had fights where I definitely remember those guys' names. And, that's what I'm looking for at
Awesome,
the end of the
man.
day. So,
Yeah.
Well, I know you've been working so freaking hard for this, and we wish you the best of luck.
thank you.
We'll be proud of you and rooting for you no matter what happens.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
I hope I can hear
but-
you guys out there.
Dude, I'm
Scream
gonna be
your heads
screaming
off.
You will.
I'm bringing a foghorn.
Bread
and
and butter
everything.
number one.
Awesome. What's your walkout song?
Oh man, there's so many great ones. I'm thinking maybe Slayer, maybe
Mm.
Imagine Dragons.
Okay.
I don't know. I've been pretty heavy. I've been listening. I think the Cooler soundtrack, Revenge of
Mhm.
Cooler, the soundtrack.
That's kind of the theme of our fight camp.
Yeah,
lately.
we kind of put it
Okay.
on during all the good parts of training. So I'm pretty sure it's the. I don't know if you guys ever seen that movie, but it's
I don't think so.
when
Yeah.
Bardock is calling out Frieza and it's
Yeah.
drowning pool in the background.
It's Dragon Ball Z. You have
Oh,
no
okay.
idea.
Awesome.
Is the band Drowning Pool? I know Drowning
Yeah,
Pool.
yeah.
Okay.
I think the song is called Deity, maybe.
Okay.
But
I'll have to go look it up.
I just know the riff and it pumps me
It
up.
gets you
so I
going.
think that's going to be the one.
I like
Sick.
it.
It's
Joe,
sick.
what would your walkout song be?
My walkout song would be Ezekiel by For Today.
Okay.
Oh, dude, so good. It's a Christian heavy metal band, but man, they go so hard.
Yeah, that
So
Ezekiel, you
good.
sent me that. That's I can see
That's a
why.
good walkout
yeah, that's
song,
a good
yeah.
walkout song.
Yeah.
It really is.
What about you, Dustin?
I don't know, dude. I listen to such vast, different like varieties of music. I never stick to anything long enough
Mhm.
to really like attach to it.
Yeah.
It just make it something that would surprise everybody. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
I had a guy
Yeah.
come out to
Mm.
the George Strait, I think.
Is it? Yeah, baby, lock them doors.
That would be funny to go the ironic route.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
would,
the same day I came out to come and get your love.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That reminds me
Oh,
of a
Redbone.
story real fast. I don't have a whole lot of time, but football playoffs my senior year, like leading up to the games, our coach made us be so freaking serious. It's not even funny. Like if we said a word or coughed or sneezed on the bus ride, like he's yelling at you. Like we had to be so serious. We were like suit and tie, dressed up. And then when we get to the field, we all walk the field, we pray, and when, like nobody says a word. We all have our headphones in. We are just zoned in. And then we get to the playoff game. We get to the playoff game, and we see the other team there, and they're just like running around the field, like playing catch, playing frisbee,
Having a fun time.
playing hacky sack. They have music on their speakers, playing like Britney Spears and stuff, and it totally got in our heads. We were like, how disrespectful. They're making a
They're not
joke
even
out of
taking it
this fight,
seriously.
and they're not even taking it serious, and we got our butt spanked.
Mhm.
Got in
And
your
so-
head.
Yeah, absolutely. That was such a cool tactic. I guess they probably scouted and knew that we were like that. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's
Well,
pretty
it
wild.
works. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you see the other guy all over there just humbled and he's like, hey,
Uh-huh.
change my fight song. Britney
Uh-huh.
Spears, you know
Britney-
the one.
yeah, exactly.
yeah. And they're like, what is this guy thinking?
What is this guy on?
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We love you guys. We thank you so much. Thanks for coming on, Mr. Calvin.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see you all again on the Progressive Overload podcast next week.
Sweet.
Every Tuesday. We'll see you then, and have a great day. God bless.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
Love.
Thanks for listening to the Progressive Overload podcast. We're honored to be a small part of your day. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or are interested in sponsoring our efforts, please feel free to reach out via email. Find us at progressiveoverloadpod@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe and follow our podcast so you'll be notified when our next episode drops.
And as always, you can help us reach the masses by sharing our podcast with your friends and family. And then check us out on Facebook and Instagram to follow our own personal journeys and get an inside look on our day-to-day lives. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.